Welcome back. You're watching Prime Property. It's a long weekend and we decided to add a festive cheer by dedicating this episode of Prime Property to answering viewer queries. We've been taking emails from all of you that have sent us your queries. Our expert of the day, or the property doctor of the day, is the personal finance advisory firm Yantra. We're joined by NITIN, the founder of that firm. And time now for our next query, which is coming in from Gopal. He's asked us questions on the recently approved real estate regulator bill. So here's Gopal's query. So Gopal writes in, please advise on the following. 1. Impact on under construction projects. As a buyer, do I get additional safeguards? Second, the agreement of sale is heavily loaded towards the developer. Can it be reworked based on the new regulations? Third, agreement of sale is based on saleable area or super built up. Can this be reworked on carpet area? Any guidance on reworking of price? Agreement has no escalation clause. Fourth, interest on delayed handover in the agreement. Can this be changed based on new norms? How to force builder to be more accountable due to new regulations. I have picked up an under construction property in Hyderabad being developed by NCC Urban. I feel cheated by the builder who supposedly has a good reputation. Please help with your clarifications. So Nitin, what's your advice to Gopal?
I think he has written about 5 different questions, and I'll try to really address all of them together. I think one thing has to be understood from the new regulatory bill perspective, right? His questions are in 2 parts. One is, will the bill help him? Second is, what does he do going forward, right? From a bill perspective, the bill that has been passed is a model bill, right? State governments now have to pick it up and then implement their own bills. In fact, there are multiple states which already have similar bills. States like Haryana or Maharashtra or Bengal have bills which have been created over the last couple of years to protect the interest of customers. Now, what the new bill creates is an ecosystem, obviously a regulator, a lot more bells and whistles that go into actually building a efficient process around protecting customers. But that will largely be driven again by how the state governments implement it. And there are a few open questions which have not been addressed. Things like what happens to properties which started 4 years ago and are still under construction or are beyond their timelines. Do those properties come under the bill? I think that's an open question. And each state is viewing this from their own perspective. While the overall goal of a new bill for the properties that will actually start now is very good, but I think as with any legislation, there will be a twilight area where people who have bought properties and are stuck with properties may have to fend for themselves. That is the regulation side. From an individual, in particular with this property, I think those issues, there are still redressal mechanisms. If the person feels that he needs justice, there are ways in which he could go to the consumer courts and get his problems resolved.
Okay, so here's my question. What if states don't maintain the sanctity, the spirit behind the real estate regulator bill approved by Parliament? Venkaiah Naidu has said there's going to be a model act that will come out for zoning and municipalities, but my fear is, as of now, state governments, centre, municipalities, they're all outside the ambit of the regulator. So, this regulator is not going to be able to break the alleged Babu Builder nexus. There's no onus on any government department to provide approvals on time. Corruption is deep-rooted when it comes to the property market, and it's going to be up to the states to enact the regulator. So isn't there a fear that we're going to see a lot of dilution?
It's a problem that has to be solved at a more broader level. Yes, there are issues. I don't think this bill is going to solve all the problems that exist. And you are right, in terms of what happens in the case of exceptions, right? As you said, if a permission is denied, then the question is, why is the permission denied? Is it a bureaucratic problem, or is there a problem with the builder's submission of papers? So there are a whole host of things, right, that can go wrong in this model. But I think, overall governments, we have already seen some states implement their own, form of regulatory bills before even the central government came up with it. So it's very clear that governments are looking at this problem and trying to solve it. Because if you don't solve the structural problem, I really don't see the real estate sector gaining confidence from retail customers and growing in India. I think we are at a point where customers are no longer looking for real estate properties which are under construction or which are, in early part of the construction, because they don't know if it will get completed. And there are other problems, things like high interest rates. So it's a mix of so many things.
Okay, so now let's move on to our next queries coming in from Mohan. He writes in, I would like to purchase a property in Ulve, a 2 BHK completed project from a well-reputed builder. What is the prevalent cost, all inclusive? Please advise me, is this the right time to buy? And I am a first-time buyer. Well, Nitin, what do you make of the Ulve market? What's your advice?
So the way we really look at any buy decision is to also look at the alternative, which is renting. And at Arthayantra, we have a proprietary score called Arthayantra Buy versus Rent score, which we applied in the case with Ulve. And Ulve today has, on an average, the price per square feet is close to 6,000 rupees, while the rentals in the same location are far lower than this. In this particular case, we don't know more specifics about his income and his rents. But if he is already staying in Ulve, the rentals are far lower than the EMI costs. So from a personal finance perspective, we would recommend the person to really look at it and take an objective decision whether he really wants to buy it and why he wants to buy it. To us, from a personal finance perspective, it doesn't make sense to make a buy right now.
Okay, so you think it's a better option to rent as opposed to buying a property in Ulve. Nitin, I also want to ask you, Mohan did point out that he's a first-time buyer. So looking at all of those benefits, you still don't think he should buy a property in Ulve?
Yes. I don't think that really tilts the benefit, because the cost of buying versus cost of renting, the gap is too much to be filled by one particular tax benefit.
Okay, Mohan, so that's the advice coming into you from Nitin. Don't buy, but instead rent a property in Ulve. Those benefits that are there for a first-time buyer don't warrant a purchase at this juncture. With that, time for a short commercial break. We're back in less than 2 minutes. In this special episode of Prime Property, we're taking viewer queries. You can send us yours to primeproperty@network18online.com. You can also tweet me. See you in less than 2 minutes.